All right.
Awesome. Happy Monday. Wow, it is March. Where has the year gone?
It happens to me every February. We're like, February, family reunion, come back, and you're like, wait, it's March already. Holy crap, what happened?
I don't know. It just seems to have, I think the earth is spinning faster. I'm not really sure. Something's up. This makes sense. I don't know how it's already March. All right, Adrian, we're going to open up in our usual fashion. Tell us what happened this day in history.
So let's see if you guys, if this name rings a bell. Today, March 2nd, is the birthday of Theodore, ready? Geisel. Anybody, any takers? Takers? I don't, yeah, yeah, Miguel was up there. He's like, wait, who is that? Most of you know him by his more
Google that
famous
real quick.
name, Dr. Seuss. He's famous for his whimsy children's books and rhymes. Um, but I just want to slow this down for a second. I believe his most important contribution was written specifically for our world today. Here's what it says, or here's what he said. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Guys, being good at real estate isn't enough. We have to be good people. If you see a colleague struggling with a file, help them. If you see a client panicking over the news headlines, be their sounding boards. And when you're tempted to send that generic automated text message, guys, pick up the phone instead or be human. In a world that feels increasingly upside down, your empathy is your greatest value asset. Don't just be an agent today, be a person who cares a whole awful lot. All right, that's my time.
I love that you said that, Adrian, because that is exactly what I wanted to open up today by saying is that we find ourselves once again in a place that's familiar to many of us when our country steps in, and whether you want to call it is at war or is in a conflict or however you want to refer to it, we find ourselves once again in that place. And so I think what's really important is there are human beings that are obviously involved on both sides of this. We have US soldiers that are in harm's way, both overseas as well as in bases around the world right now that are potentially at risk. Pick up the phone, call your databases, call your customers, check in with people. You don't know what someone's going through. And this is an opportunity for you to lend an ear to them. So I just wanted to say my heart goes out to all of those of you who have family members in uniform, because we know right now the world is in a little bit of a scary place. So, and for those of you who do not have that, always remember you don't know what someone else is going through. So, just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, on to our next. Oh, yeah, before we go into the next, let me also share. This weekend, Austin, Texas had an incident, and I think it's appropriate for us to talk about it as our home base at Keller Williams International is located in Austin. And if you've been to Mega Camp or you've been to any of our national classes, we all go down to 6th Street. It is a place that most of us have been to. And when you see the senseless terror act that took place there this weekend, you can empathize and realize, wow, like it's just a matter of scheduling a different day, a different week, a different time period. Any one of us could have been there, or any one of our children who might have attended the University of Austin. So just remember that. And team, be vigilant. If you see something, say something. If something's out of place in your gut, it might be. Go with your gut right now. Pay attention to your surroundings. It's important. You're on the road a lot. So you are out there saying things that maybe others don't. Take advantage of that opportunity. All right, moving on. If my computer will cooperate, we can move on. All right, let's move into a quick overview of the stats. And now, Adrian, we haven't gone this part together in about a month. It's been exactly a month that we looked at the numbers locally because we've done a lot of other things in the last month.
Yeah, no, and it was weird because when I was prepping all of this, I had to remind myself that we're not looking at week over week. So yeah, so just as we kick off Miami-Dade single family homes, price decreases remain flat from from month over month. What does that mean? I don't see sellers flooding the market. I don't see panic on prices either. You've got an increase in pending sales from 161 to 203. That's a 26% jump in the month, Nat.
That's a
Um,
really that's a really good number. We've been waiting for the pendings to come up, and the truth is, this is it. Like we are in the height of where we go into, let's call it the spring season. So we should definitely be seeing those.
right? And so just and running the corner there, closed sales obviously fell. I'm sorry, went up again another 16%, which is really, really, really nice to see. It's kind of good story to tell, right?
It's a really good story to tell. And the truth is, again, we're just in March, so we're coming into our spring selling season. Even though Florida doesn't seem to get a spring, we go from freezing cold winter to summer. We don't get that seasonality, and yet that spring selling season is here, and this is an opportunity. What I noticed, and that's all great numbers, but what I did notice is that we're not seeing a significant additional new inventory, right? So 397 a month ago, 394 this month. Although good inventory, we need to ratchet up the opportunity, because this is a great opportunity. This is the time where you want your sellers to come on the market. Best probability of sales, right, is in the next 90 days. So we've got to get our sellers who are thinking about selling a home on the market right now. This is their best opportunity.
Just because I think it's worth the few more seconds just on this one segment. Nat, is it fair to say that a seller who is on the fence about waiting could potentially put them in a competing and multiple offer scenario if they're waiting for that perfect April selling season?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all relevant. It all depends. If it's priced right and it looks great and it's easy to show, there is a good chance that we've got still multiple buyers out there, depending on the price point that we're talking about in the single family homes. But
Okay,
the longer we wait and the further we go down into the year, the less of a chance of that happening.
makes sense.
And as we go over to, hold on, let's see if the computer will cooperate. We'll go to the next slide in single family homes in Broward.
So Broward saw a slight drop in new inventories, 10% drop, fewer homes hitting the market. Actives with contracts saw a nice 15% increase. Closed saw a nice 13% jump. Again, tale of two cities, but up.
Yeah, up except listings. So we've got to go get more inventory, because what we're seeing is more of it taken down. We want to make sure that we're keeping pace with that, because we're kind of sort of at that even market. The other thing to pay attention to, based on what we are seeing happening overseas as well, are interest rates. And if you've been paying attention, those interest rates did start to come down. They were still down this morning, which is a good thing. That will add additional urgency for buyers coming into the marketplace, right? Rates are at, or in some rates, we're seeing below 6 right now. So it's a good thing.
Is there a way to correlate? Hey, I'm a listing agent. I know that the interest rates are staying favorable, right? Just to say that phrase. Is there a phrase or is there a language that we can utilize with the seller to say, hey, now is a really good time to bring that home back to the market? Or whether if it was stale inventory and it didn't sell before, now's a really good time?
Again, depending on the property type that we're speaking about.
Okay.
And again, it now is a good time. We don't have an abundance of single family home inventory. There's a really distinct difference between the condos and the single family homes. There is not a large abundance of the inventory. What we had was maybe just a hesitance from the buying perspective, not necessarily from being active inventory on the market. Still have
That
less.
flipped almost, that almost flipped overnight. That's how crazy that was. All
Yep.
right.
And that markets do that. And it could switch like that as well if you're not paying attention. That's why we do this.
All
All
right,
right.
we're
So,
back to Miami-Dade condo and townhomes market. Yeah, new to market dropped. Kind of the story that we're hearing across the board. Price decreases fell from 556 to 493, so that's a big deal. Basically, it's 13% decrease in new inventory. Inactives with contracts rose about 14%. I especially like that bump.
yeah, 100%. We have what I pay attention to here. You saw the drop in new. That was about 90 some odd less properties on the market. Part of that is we are in season. So if you are an owner, a person who comes and uses or utilizes that condo or townhouse only during season, you would pull it off the market now, because you'd be in it right now. It would come back on the market when our snowbirds start to leave again next month. So that number, pay attention. Let's see if that changes next month. It's usually what we
I'm
say.
I'm laughing and being whimsical because for a moment I thought that meant our agents were getting really good with the new condo disclosures.
Sorry, Adrian. They could be too. They may be possible, but I don't think there's anything to do with inventory. Not at all. Oh,
Love
all
it.
right. And over to Broward and our condos and townhouse market.
All right, so we saw another major slowdown of new to market in this segment, 18% drop. Price decreases held almost perfectly with last month. Closed sales and pendings jumped, between 14 and 12% respectively.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's important to pay attention to, that is normal, that this would be the type of inventory that you would start seeing your closed sales, your pending sales up now. That would taper off a little bit because we have more seasonality in this market than we do in our single family home market at this time of the year, just purely where this inventory is located, more coastal. Again, less new to market. They could be utilizing them. They could be renting them out because you've got seasonal occupants in them right now.
I know
So
what I keep hearing you say is reach back out to those to those sellers that were on the fence or that fatigued themselves out of this market. Now's a great time to give them a call.
100%. All right, we've got some changes coming up. So we wanted to bring this to you because it's nothing like getting a notification on a Friday where, hey, this is going to an effect on Monday. Although the truth is, this should have gone into effect a few months ago, and then they kind of kicked the can down the road. So, Adrian, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the FinCEN rule change?
I'll kick this off by saying that some agents noticed that there was a change in the contract. Those agents will remain nameless to protect the innocent. But here's what FinCEN is. It's actually Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So as of today, there's new mandatory reporting rule for residential real estate to basically it's an attempt to stop money laundering through shell companies. Some of you have been following us, have heard us mention this, come in, then be halted, then come back. This was all in the spotlight since like 2025. Well, here's the good news. It's here, and now it's here to stay. As a matter of fact, not only is it here to stay, it changed your contract a little bit, and I'll explain that. But I want to kind of set the tone that this isn't new. This is not new. We've been seeing this. As a matter of fact, Natascha, correct me if I'm wrong, Broward and Dade were actually a test market for this for a bit. I'm not saying crookedness applies. I'm just saying we were an audience they wanted to test pilot this. Is that a fair statement?
100%. We were the first market, along with parts of California and New York, that were the test markets for this. At the time, it was known as a geographic targeting order. Your title companies down here are very well aware of how to handle this.
Geographic targeting. Love that. All right. So here's where it applies. It applies to non-finance transfers. Basically, guys, here's where I need your ears perk up here. Cash transactions or hard money transactions, right? That's where it's a non-traditional lender, where your buyer is an entity, such as an LLC, a corporation, or a trust. So think about it this way. They're paying cash. Now they're contractually obligated to disclose their beneficial ownership information. So I know these are all big language words, but I'll try to make this bite-sized in a second. So think about it again. When does this apply? For non-finance transfers of property, where it's a cash transaction or a hard money transaction, where the entity, the buyer, is an LLC, a corporation, or a trust, right? Where the name of the who owns that entity is not as obvious as it once appeared. So, and it applies to residential real estate, including vacant land, because that's one of the components that we were like, oh, vacant land doesn't matter. So what the heck is beneficial ownership information, you ask? That's the specific personal data of the individual or individuals who are actually own or control a percentage of that company. And so what's going to happen going forward? Number one, there's a nice little paragraph inside of your contract that now discloses this. Number two, if your buyer is purchasing under one of these corporations, trust, or LLCs, they're going to have to give they're going to have to give the beneficial ownership information to the closing agent, the title company, the title attorney who's closing this deal out, such as their full name, the date of birth, current residential address, no PO boxes, citizenships, and any unique identifying numbers, such as the information found on a non-expired passport, driver's licenses, state IDs. You get the idea. And so again, cash transactions or hard money transaction where the buyer is purchasing under an LLC, corporation, or a trust, they're going to just basically have to disclose who the actual owner is. For more information, Nikki, if you can, for a quick second, by the way, trust as well, Paula, I appreciate you putting that in the chat. Because again, it's not obvious who the buyer is. The title company, the closing agent, they're going to require that they disclose who the actual owner is, and they're going to ask for some of that information. Um, Nikki, the website for any further information, if you guys want to pass this on to your buyers, it's fincen.gov/RE. I just want to make sure that you guys have that. And I guess, Natascha, I guess here's let me just kind of ask a question. Is cooperation mandatory?
Are you asking me or are you asking the agents?
I guess, yeah, if I'm asking agents out there, I go, this is a non-negotiable, guys, and it's not doom and gloom. This isn't anything crazy. It's just the title company, and the closing
This is
agent is going
federal.
to ask.
This is no option. You have no option but to abide by this, period, end of story. It's federal.
So is this new?
Nope. It's new paperwork. It's a new paragraph in our contract. But from a operation standpoint, from our title companies and our attorneys that have been closing deals, it's actually not new because we were targeted in the original orders.
And so I guess the just to wrap this up, the short and sweet of this, guys, is that this is a great opportunity for you to simply give your buyer a heads up. Hey, heads up, if you're purchasing under this entity, the title company agents, they're gonna ask for some information. And so I'll ask this question. I'll go on the offensive here. What if I have a buyer that says, I don't want to provide that information?
Buyer can choose not to purchase.
There you go. That's it. One last little caveat, because I think it is important. There's a who's going to pay for this, right? Meaning the title companies and the entities, the closing agents are going to have to report this. There is a cost to this reporting. Anybody want to take a guess who this cost is going to fall on? Not that hard. The buyer, guys. That's it. What's the cost? Contact your title company or closing agents. That's pretty much it. I love that JC chimed in for 2 seconds there. The reason this doesn't apply to finance transactions, because they follow this FinCEN rule. They've been following it for decades. They need to know who the actual name of the buyer is, who the entity is, and whatnot. This now just applies to cash transactions or, like I said, hard money loans. All right. I think
Awesome.
that's my time. If I missed anything, you let me know.
Well, we're on to the next slide, Adrian, and the changes that are actually in the contract. So our FAR contracts, the as-is contract, the change came out on Friday, and it caused the contract to, because of this spacing and the additional paragraphs there. This is the paragraph that you'll see right in front of you. It actually added an additional page to your contracts. But pay attention, this is the clause that's there, and the highlighted section just shares exactly what Adrian just went through.
Perfect. All right, and you'll notice the contract increased by 1 page while it didn't really add anything to the pages. It just added one more page because of formatting.
Correct. So it's section 18.1, paragraph 3. That's the change. All right, we've got another change that is coming out, but also not really a change. So Adrian, tell us about the no change.
This right. So for anybody who's been following this for a little bit, you guys remember Y Green style loans, renewable energy style loans. These are basically loans that are attached to a property. I'll jog some of your memories. If someone knocking on the owner's door, claiming to offer them hurricane impact windows, new roof, solar panels, new AC at no upfront cost for them, and then the owner of the property simply pays for it over the course of time in the taxes of the property. That's the jog of the memory. Here's what I need you to understand. As the listing agent for a property, you need to ask one very important question before you take the listing. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, did you have one of these qualifying improvements attached to the property? If so, I need to see the paperwork, because you're going to probably, more likely, you're going to need to close that bill off prior to closing, meaning you're going to have to actually pay that off. And this isn't new, guys. We've been talking about this for several years. The document just changed because it includes qualifying improvements, now includes stuff like wind resistance, roof to wall straps. Remember, the municipalities added these wonderful components to strengthen older roofs that didn't have these straps, impact doors, flood mitigation. It covers that entire broad spectrum. But anyways, document changed. The real gist of it hasn't. Hope that made sense.
Awesome. I think it does. Nothing really changes, just the name. All right, to pivot here, that we are in the month of March. March is award ceremony month. And so we just want to remind you all, you'll be getting the notifications and invitations from your own individual market centers, but we wanted to share with you all that on March 10th, the Pembroke Pines Market Center will be hosting its Market Center Awards. The Weston Market Center will be hosting it on March 18th. And on March 19th, the Miami Beach Market Center will be hosting it. So we want to share with you. We hope you join in celebrating all of the agents who worked so hard to achieve the awards that they so rightfully deserve. And so we'll be there to celebrate and cheer them all on. And we hope y'all get to come and walk the red carpet.
Nat, since we're walking the red carpet, is there a dress attire?
Their market center will give them their dress attire. This is definitely not a come in your casual or your gym clothes. This is come in your business and your dressy clothes. So
there you go. I like that.
Awesome. All right, team. Well, that was what we had for you today. As always, we want to thank all of the partners that make this possible. Top Flight Home Loans. Shout out to JC and team. The rest of you, if you haven't checked in, check with JC. He's been updating on interest rates. So that's really important to keep aware of because your customers are going to ask you based on what's going on overseas if it's affecting rates. Right now, it was a positive net effect. Gregory Taylor Title and the team, Greg, Amy, Teresa, and everyone that works at that team. And of course, my RE Tasker. And if you want more on that, Davies will let you all know. They're going to be coming out with some new packages as well. So, all right, guys. Adrian, any last parting thoughts?
No, that was it. It was just be kind to each other. That's it.
Yeah, be kind, people. All right, all. Have a great one. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.